What's up? What is going on? What's going on, good people? What's going on, good people? We are back in here with another one. Shout out to each and every one of you. Shout out to each and every one of you. Definitely about to get this thing started, get this thing going. The part of the show, what I'm doing today was actually connected to yesterday's show, which turned out to be a good show. It's going to be on Patreon and members. Yes, we back. Patrick St. James, we back. It's going to be on Patreon and members. I probably eclipsed parts of it. Cousin Thot came up, had a good conversation about game. Yes, game. That stuff that people went to war about in this space. Yeah, had a good conversation about that. I'll probably clip parts of it and put it back up and repackage it. But we're going to be getting into this. We're going to be breaking down a TED Talk conversation about them trying to intellectualize thought culture. That's basically what they're trying to do. And I talked to yesterday. This is supposed to dovetail from the conversation from yesterday when I talked about how that's kind of some degree something that we do, but we can get away with it. We can intellectualize us wanting to sow our oats and all of that stuff. We can intellectualize it. They can't. But we're going to get into that. It was a great discussion on the last show. So strap on in. Let's get ready to go. Let's get it.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
What is going on? What's going on? Shout out to everybody in the building. Do appreciate each and every one of you. Do appreciate each and every one of you. Do appreciate each and every one of you. I see Iron Attic in the building says salute BR in chat. Patrick St. James in the building says we back. Yes, we are absolutely back. We are back. I almost missed the Friday show, but I persevered. I persevered and made my way on the air. E-Black TV in the building says, interesting convo. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I certainly think so. Insane One in the building with the fist in the air. Yeah, we pro-black over here. Little Rock 2517 in the building. Shout out to you and salute. And Too Damn Snazzy in the building. Shout out to you. Like I said, what we talking about today, it was going to be included in the show yesterday, but the conversation kind of got too good when I was talking about, something Myron Gaines said about he recommends the guy has 50 sex partners, be with 50 women before he settled down or something like that. A lot of people took that, I guess, more literal. Like they were saying, okay, so buy 50 prostitutes. And I was like, no, I think he's talking about the experience. Like, in order to have sex with 50 women, you got to probably talk to and pursue and be in de facto pseudo situationships and all kind of stuff with so many women. It's like in order to have sex with 50, you got to talk to 1,000. You're going to learn so much. You just get some experience with women. So we was talking about that, how much experience with women matters. And there was some good conversations. Fine arguments on many sides. That 50 that 50 was a arbitrary number that was a bit high in terms of saying what's necessary. But we talked about it, we hashed it out. One thing that I'll talk about before I get into the main topic here. The current trend in this space. What is this space? I guess it's called the manosphere. I guess the black manosphere. I guess that's what stuff is. It's a manosphere. It's a place where men come and they talk. And I haven't clicked on that in a while. Yeah, consider becoming a member. Consider becoming a member of the show. The current trend that started out small, a band of individuals who, had smaller channels where they would basically do the daunting task of trying to shit on the manosphere. It's made waves and it's gotten all the way up to the big leagues, and now there are really big content creators with hundreds of thousands, in some cases millions of dollars, who sit back and wait for somebody who has the title manosphere or red pill on their jacket and wait for them to have a bad moment, and then let's highlight it, let's talk about it. These red pill guys this, these red pill guys that. I'm noticing a concerted effort to destroy the brand. I'm noticing a concerted effort to destroy the brand by really big content creators with hundreds of thousands of views. Some of them used to call themselves manosphere. They're in on it. Some of them who's always been manosphere adjacent, they're in on it. Everybody is in on it. If a manosphere person has a bad moment, that becomes the headline news. Anybody have a bad moment, even if it wasn't that bad, even if it was mostly just a chick being a chick and going off, it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's getting ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous. But like I said before, this type of content has made its impact, and it will make its impact going forward into the foreseeable future. But I do believe it will get to the point to where everybody is attacking it to the point to where the content will go on, but nobody will go by the name, because the people who attack it, many of them still, in many of the videos where they're showing how messed up the red pill or manosphere dudes are, they are also, the person who's exposing that is also making a lot of red pill manospherian type points. Don't listen to them, listen to me. That's what it feels like. I want to ruin this concept, ruin this brand, but the concepts and ideas and thoughts and perspectives and views are going to rage on without the name, without the title, without the brand. But it ultimately has to be said that it's a slew of men who are essentially attacking a movement that speaks up for men. They're attacking a movement that does a male-centric counterpunch or clapback to all the female-centric, woman-centric, feminist propaganda that's out there in the media that's against men. There's a slew of men who are hell-bent on attacking it and attacking the other creators, attacking the creators who make that type of content. It's like the sisterhood can take off their hard hat and chill because men are on the job. Many of them who wear the title Red Pill. They're on the job to bring down Red Pill and manosphere, and it's running rampant. It started out small in this space, by the way, with guys doing that. It was always splashes of people doing it, but it picked up, got a lot of waves in this space. But now it's going big. Now it's going mainstream. now pissing on Red Pill and manosphere is a mainstream thing now, because some people figured out that you could do it and still be cool. Because normally only blue pill and feminist, male feminist, blue pill, simp enforcers, those used to be the only ones that used to really do that. But somewhere along the way, I could still make cool content. I could still, call out the modern woman, speak for men, and talk shit about all the nonsense that's coming from the female side of it. And I can also take a crap on these other content creators who's doing the same type of content as me as well. It's like, once people figure that out, once people figured out that got views, and people with hundreds of thousands and millions of subs figure that out, it's like, it's on and popping now. It's on and popping now. But yeah, wanted to get that off my chest. Shout out to everybody else in the building. Humble Simp says we love Thots. Humble Simp says we love Thots. They all right. They all right. But all right, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go ahead and get into it. Where we at?
Hold up.
All right. Let's go.
Hi. So our world today is a far more sexually permissive place than it used to be 50 years ago. These days,
already out the gate. What's funny is talking as if it's just a coincidence. It's something that just happened. Talking as if it's something that just happened. Gee golly whiz. Gee golly whiz. It's such a more sexually charged place. He said this is just bimbo babble. Yeah, a lot of that's about to go on. A lot of that is about to go on. Let's go.
For most people, premarital sex is okay. Oral sex is okay. In this post 50 Shades of Grey era, even kinky sex is okay. But we're still very conflicted as a society and as individuals over whether it's acceptable and healthy to have casual sex outside the confines of long-term romantic relationships. We're constantly surrounded by it, yet we're often told it's bad for us, we shouldn't be doing it. By the time we're 25, 70% of us will have hooked up at least once. And yet most of us will worry we shouldn't really be doing it. But there's something that doesn't make sense here to me about this love-hate relationship we have with casual sex. We all seem to agree that sex with a romantic partner has all these amazing benefits, from longer and healthier lives to better relationships and greater happiness. So how come that same sexual activity has the exact opposite effect if our partner is a stranger or a longer and healthier lives to better relationships and greater happiness? So how come that same sexual activity has the exact opposite effect if our partner is a stranger or a friend?
Okay. Now, to ask the question, you're talking about how a long-lasting relationship, a long-lasting sexual relationship could lead, you can have a longer, happier, satisfying life and blah, 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 blah. She talked about that. Then she said, well, why doesn't the same thing correspond if your partner is a stranger? Like that's holistically a stupid question. But that's only a stupid question that you ask if you're trying to intellectualize thought culture. The only thing, and I'm going to keep going back to this, the only thing needs to be said is more or less kind of what men do, even though I did a show on when men try to over intellectualize it. We try to over intellectualize it ourselves. Look how much semen we produce. We're supposed to be out, giving it to the world. That's what we do. Even I always say and always point out, because everything that I've read and my understanding of biology and mammals, mating success for a male is reproducing with as many partners as possible. Mating success for a female is reproducing with the best possible one. So human beings are not naturally monogamous. We set up culture and society and things that make us want to rein it in. But human beings left to their own devices are not monogamous animals. It's culture. Those are social constructs. What she's saying is basically all she needs to really be saying is, I don't like the social construct. I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it, how I want to do it, with who I want to do it with. And it'd be nice if y'all didn't judge me. Like, that's really what it is. And then once you understand that, you get into the understanding the why they have to intellectualize it. Because women can't just say that. They have to in a roundabout way get themselves to that point. They have to in a roundabout way put it out there. They just can't grab their nuts and say it. So it has to be intellectualized. You see the same thing when a man cheats versus a woman cheats. A man cheats because he's a creep. The woman cheats because he's not being heard and he wasn't emotionally available and she didn't feel like he was listening to her. They get into it. They got to have 1,000,001 reasons why they do what they do, other than just a simple, previous generations of women fought for our right to move through the world more like men, and we would like to do it. But we're going to come here in this TED Talk and try to intellectualize, this primal hedonic thing that we want to do because we want to do it because it feels good.
Is sex somehow good for us only because of the love and commitment we feel for our partners? And without that love and commitment, it automatically turns into a destructive force? Isn't there something good in just, sex? When I started my PhD in developmental psychology, I decided to get to the bottom of this. Is casual sex objectively bad for us? Or is this just another grossly over-exaggerated moral sex panic that the US has had no shortage of? In the 10 years since, we've learned a great deal about casual sex from social science research, my own and that of other scholars. But virtually 90% of that knowledge is based on US undergrads. And trust me, you are not the only people hooking up. So to supplement our knowledge and understanding of this phenomenon, I started this website called the Casual Sex Project. It's an online space for people of all demographic backgrounds to share their true stories of hookups. My hope was to give people a chance to tell their stories, make sense of their experiences through this process of storytelling, but also to paint a more diverse, richer picture of what casual sex really looks like, what it means to people, what it feels like, what its aftermath may be. In the 10 months since the website's been up, it's been viewed over 6 million times. Over 1,200 stories have been shared by people from all over the world, and it's been written about on 6 continents. So, what have all these stories and studies taught us about casual sex and well-being? Well, here are a few things that you may not have been aware of. First of all, Casual sex has many potential benefits. Perhaps the most obvious one is sexual pleasure, orgasms, hedonic ecstasy, if you will. Then
You can more or less stop right there. You can more or less stop right there.
there are things like learning new sexual skills,
That's connected to the first one.
making new friends. It's a good one. An increased sense of self-confidence, accomplishment, desirability, empowerment, freedom. Then
Empowerment. Whenever they're talking about empowerment, they're either talking about one or two things. Whenever they're talking about empowerment, they're either talking about one or two things. They're either talking about them, being at the top of climbing the top of a corporate ladder and, being in position where they got power over men. They're either talking about, running major companies that they didn't exactly build, but running major companies, they're talking about that kind of thing. And what they're quite often talking about, it's the primal, the act of having sex, something that a monkey can do. That's empowerment. They call that empowerment. Whenever it's one or the other. They call empowerment either being in a high corporate position where you got power over men or fucking a man. That's empowerment. That's empowerment. When it comes to their empowerment, their freedom is always tied to it's always tied to sex. It's always tied to sex in one way or another in a roundabout way. One way or another in a roundabout way. But this is the attempt to try to intellectualize thought culture, aside from just saying that we want to have sex with who we want to, when we want to, how we want to, for whatever reason, and that's just that. Like it's a really simple thing. There are TED Talks to be had. There's David M. Buss and all kinds of other people who've studied, human sexuality and the whole thing. Like there's something intellectual to be said about human mating. But when you're just talking about, when they're just trying to intellectualize the reasons why they want to have casual sex, it just gets, it turns somebody, I don't know if somebody used the term bitch babble, but yeah, it gets into that.
And there are collecting fun stories and memories to tell your friends at the senior citizens home many years later, or share on the Casual Sex Project. There's even experiencing that deep emotional, spiritual, intellectual connection with another human being that sometimes happens even though no romantic feelings are involved.
You saying they are in a fight against biology, but explain that, because here's the deal. Their biology, and this is one thing that is kind of hard for men to deal with. Like we can confidently say we don't want to be in a committed relationship with a whore. We can confidently say that, but there's an aspect of their biology, just like ours, that basically dictates through all the evidence that I can see that human beings are not monogamous, male or female. So they're not monogamous beings. So when they're in a fight against their biology, I would say they're trying to lean more in the direction of their biology, more so than it's society it's societal constraints, i.e. Culture and civilization, that gets them, looking at the values and the virtues of being with one person. Because the society and civilization that we've built, in the culture that we've built and we all live in, that became a socially constructed norm. And in many ways it makes sense. In many ways it can help a society function. in many ways it's best for children and family. So yes, they're fighting against their biology when they commit to one person, and it's varying levels to it. Some women, it's not that big of a fight. They found the right guy. This is a guy for them. This guy does for them what they need that guy to do, so they can just stay with that guy and be with that guy, and and masturbate thinking about Idris Elba or whoever they like. It's like some women can do that. Some of them can, but for many of them, it's a fight against their biology to behave with society and culture to says, hey, this is what a decent woman does. The thing that we would call a decent woman, those are social constructs. Like, make no mistake about that. And then when you understand that, that's when you understand women, and you understand that they're not made of sugar and spice and everything nice, and you just show up and be a great guy, and then she'll act right. That when understanding that, it helps you process women a lot better. So the thing that they're in the fight against, you saying no. Explain what you mean by no. Explain what you mean by no. Use your words. What you're talking about. Explain what you mean.
But casual sex has yet another powerful pull on us. Even though no romantic feelings are in with another human, deep emotional, spiritual, intellectual connection with another human being that sometimes happens even though no romantic feelings are involved with a share in the Casual Sex Project. There's even experiencing that deep emotional, spiritual, intellectual connection with another human being that sometimes happens even though no romantic feelings are involved.
She's saying an emotional, spiritual, intellectual connection with somebody even though no romantic feelings are involved. Make sure we heard that right.
Tell your friends at the seniors. There's even experiencing that deep emotional, spiritual, intellectual connection with another human being.
Deep emotional, spiritual, intellectual connection with another human being, even though there's no romantic feelings involved. Emotional, spirit. Yeah. See, you're really now they're spiritualizing sex, spiritualizing the act of sex. I'm gonna let that one ride. I do think that there are some people who do have try to connect a spiritual, religious like experience with sex. I suppose some people do that. You can't intellectualize biology. Can't intellectualize biology. She lost you on spiritual. No, I get it. He says, and this is why the true red pill is so important. Thanks, Bernard Riley, for keeping it real. Oh, no, thank you. All right, let me get back into it. Oh, no, I got to kind of deal with this, what he said. Because I think what you responded to when you say this is why the true red pill is so important. Thank you, Bernard Riley, for keeping it real. I think what you're getting at is how I'm saying it's actually in their nature to want multiple partners as well. See, here's the thing, though. You got to understand it's in their it's in our nature to do a lot of things. It's in our nature to go and impregnate. It's in our nature to have raw sex. Condoms didn't exist, condoms didn't exist. It's people who alive today who were alive when condoms didn't exist. Condoms are a new thing. Birth control is a new thing. It's our natural human biological nature to impregnate every woman we have sex with. Does that mean we do it? No, because societal, culture, civilization, societal constraints, social constructs that we have going on here. That's why we don't do it. That's why we wear condoms. That's why they get on birth control. That's why we pull out. That's why we don't try to make a baby every time we have sex. So we constantly have to fight against our nature, where there's aspects of their nature that I say they're still expected to fight against pending what result they want. But I understand that that's their nature. It's about understanding that that's their nature, and they can lean on their nature just like you can lean on yours. But there are societal, socially constructed norms that I still I expect my woman to adhere to some shit. That's just what it is. I'm not going to understand that, and some men understand that, and then they say, "Hey, this pussy is for everybody." Yeah, this is my woman. Yeah, we together, but hey, I don't own the pussy. She can go give it away. I played a clip of a guy who basically was saying that. There's guys that got YouTube channels that will say that. Now, some of them draw that conclusion, and then they just never get in a relationship. Some of them will get in a relationship and then still say it's for everybody. Nature. I'm like, what? No. Like, are you doing things for her? You taking care of her? Are you kissing her goodnight every night? Like, I mean, like, it's certain things, it's certain societal norms that we adhere to where we understand that our biology is being abandoned in some areas. All right. It just is what it is. But no, let me get back into it.
That sometimes happens even though no romantic feelings are involved. But casual sex has yet another powerful pull on us. As Esther Perel so eloquently puts it, humans have this fundamental need for adventure, novelty, mystery, risk, danger, the unknown, the unexpected. Some more than others, but it's there in our DNA. And that is a need that casual sex satisfies effortlessly by its very nature. And it's a need that's much more difficult, if not impossible, to meet in the long-term part of long-term relationships. Now, there are
Freeman's Journal says that whoremongers love community box. Like, put it like this: casual sex is awesome, but society crumbles if everybody does it. If everybody does it every time, all the time. I'm so that's where I'm at with it. That's where I'm at with it. Society crumbles if everybody is doing it all the time, forever and ever. Amen. That's just where it's at. We've constructed a society to where it just doesn't function. And put it like this: until we have that type of society, I forgot what it was, a sci-fi movie where it was a species to where mother, father, like it didn't matter who gave birth to you, just everybody in the community collectively raised every kid, and it was structures and everything set up in place for them to do it. So it just didn't matter who you did. It didn't matter whose kid was whose kids. And so it was, so far as sex, they just did sex however they did sex, whenever they wanted, whoever they wanted, however they wanted, and nobody kept track of whose kid was whose, and there was no exact direct families. Like everything was just one big families. Like the whole concept of mother, father, brother, sister, they didn't have no structure or concept of that. I cannot remember what movie that was. They didn't have no structure or concept of that, but yes, thank you. Well, that's you ain't named the movie, but the it is a realm of communism. Like we would have to get to somewhere in some Star Trek future of socialism and communism to the point where the modern norms of relationships and social constructs that we have don't exist no more, before we can just fully say, yeah, just casual sex with everybody. Everybody just every day is a freaknik. Like we would have to get to that point before we could say there's no consequences at all to it. Now, and I say this as somebody who's drunk at that well of casual sex and had a good time at it, you know, had a great time at it. But I can't pretend like a society functions just fine when everybody is doing that every time in all ways. The way stuff is set up right now, if it's not actual families, then kids are raised in less than ideal situations and become less than ideal people. But let's get back into it.
Are, of course, but it's there in our DNA. And that is a need but it's there in our risk, danger, the unknown, the unexpected. Some more than others, but it's there in our DNA. And that is a need that casual sex satisfies effortlessly by its very nature.
Casual sex satisfies the need for danger and risk. I remember Game Changer said, you only have sex to either get a woman pregnant or not get a woman pregnant. If she tie her tubes and there's no chance of getting her pregnant, the sex ain't fun without the risk of possibly getting her pregnant. You got to have that danger. Yeah, go have sex in a war zone. Like, goddamn, like it's just like no, I don't need the danger of getting her pregnant in order to enjoy the sex.
And it's a need that's much more difficult, if not impossible, to meet in the long-term part of long-term relationships. Now, there are, of course, risks. Unsatisfying sex, broken hearts, ruined friendships, regret, coercion, confusion, awkwardness, STIs and unwanted pregnancies, social stigma.
SKC, your question was answered by me. You said, so my question remains, are these lifestyles good for a functional society? I already said no. I said, if everybody does it every time, all the time, then society crumbles. It's not good for a functional society. Civilizations, I understand what our biology is, I understand what I know we probably got some disagreement on this, but we are animals, and I understand what our biology is, but we've built an advanced civilization with certain social constructs, and some of those aspects of civilization and these social constructs, they work for thriving and functioning in the society that we live in. It works. Like there's cultures that work. There's aspects and social constructs that work, that matter, that make sense, that basically help us get to where we are as a species. So no. En masse, no. These things are technically not good en masse for everybody. No. But there's wiggle room baked in the cake for some. I'll just say that.
Disrespectful partners. Now, people fear that most of the time these cons outweigh the pros. But that is simply not true. Study after.
Nah, she's getting right into the point where me and you were just talking about, SKC. She's saying the positives of casual sex and thought culture outweigh every negative of it. It affects different people differently. I'll definitely say that.
After study finds this pattern for how people feel following their hookups. For both men and women alike, positive post-hookup reactions, happy, pleased, excited, are much stronger than negative hookup reactions, used, empty, disappointed.
All right, so 5, I guess, a little over 3.5. That's probably like 3.7 out of 5 men. That's an oddly use category. Anyway, look like about 3.7 out of 5 men. Hopefully, I can see that just fine. Feel happy, adventuresome, desirable, pleased, and excited. So men definitely feel definitely feel more positive about it. Women just look like about 3.2 or 3, maybe about 3.3 out of 5 feel the same way. The negative, according to this perfectly valid 100% study that got it 100% right, it's a little like 2.2% of men feel negative afterwards. I don't think I ever felt negative, like, that empty, confused, never used. All right, never used. Maybe you could be disappointed. A guy can be disappointed after. There's a number of reasons and ways why a guy could be disappointed, but for the most part, we don't feel anything bad, not at high levels. But their argument is that women, the majority of the time, feel positive. Just long story short, if you can't see the data fully, that's the long and short of what they're saying. Women, more times than not, feel positive after casual sex. Men definitely feel positive after casual sex, and there's smaller percentages of negativity.
Other studies show that casual sex has little to no impact on longer term psychological well being. Things like self esteem, life satisfaction.
Using next day stats don't seem like the best way to answer the question. That's a good point as well. That's a good point as well. Like, I could look back at when I was really out there, and I wouldn't trade it. Looking at it beyond just one day, beyond just next day. Like, looking back at it, I wouldn't give up. Okay, let me take not say nothing crazy. There are a couple experiences I'd rather not have had. There's a couple experiences I would rather not have had, but looking back at all of it, I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't. SKC says instant gratification versus delayed gratification. I wonder which one will be best. Typically, delayed gratification is best because you're delayed gratification because you're building something that's going to give a bigger, better payoff later. But if you're just talking about sex, the act of having sex now versus having sex later, I don't know. Mr. Tober says pair bonding ability. I reject the whole concept of pair bonding. And I don't mean, and I'm not saying love isn't real. People do fall in love. Like, I understand that love is a real thing. There's chemicals that fire off in the brain. Okay, we get it. Love is real, but that pair bonding stuff, that's something that happened with some animals. They like pair bond. They like mate forever. Like, I don't know if humans do that. I think they stay together and they're happy together and they love each other. But I don't think the pair bonding thing is a real thing. I got to do a whole show on pair bonding sooner or later.
Depression, anxiety. Sex has little to no impact on longer term psychological well being. Things like self esteem, life satisfaction, depression, anxiety. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that all hookups follow this pattern, or that this pattern is typical of everybody who hooks up and that no one's well being is ever affected. No, these are just averages, right? When you look more closely at the people and the experiences making up these averages, you find that some hookups do indeed have the potential to.
Human beings are animals. I was not saying that they weren't animals when I said that it's some animals that do it. Now, what I meant by that, of all the animals, there are a few animals that actually do that for real. It's not strong evidence that human beings actually do it. But like I said, I'm going to do a whole show on that. He says pair bonding is a fact for women. Stand by. I'll do a show on that. You saying human beings are not animals? Prove it. I don't know. In what way are we not? The only way you're gonna say that we're not animals is if you just go find a difference. Go find you're going to go find a difference, and you're going to say something like, oh, we have a higher level of this. Okay, so that one thing, whatever you named, is that where humanity is? Like, for example, we're not, our DNA is 99% the same as chimpanzees, or 98% the same as chimpanzees. So human. So what makes us human is somewhere in that 2%. That's what you're saying. It's like that's not really an argument.
Harm or benefit well-being. And some people are more susceptible to that potential. So whether casual sex is good.
Mega Dress says we only got thumbs. Yeah, and some whales, they got echolocation. That don't mean they're not animals, because they got something that we don't got, and we got some stuff that they don't got. It's like, no, that doesn't.
For you or not depends on who you are and how you do it. There are many factors that this relationship can depend on, and I couldn't possibly cover all of them in one 18-minute talk. But one critical one is authenticity. Doing only the kinds of things that are fully in line with who you are, your beliefs, your values, your desires, your needs. Casual sex is not for everyone. Nothing sexual ever is, really. Due to differences in nature, nurture, and life circumstances, some of us have a much stronger general need for sexual novelty and much greater comfort having sex with people we don't know very well. So figure out where you are on this spectrum. Is hooking up with people you're not dating something that sounds enjoyable, exciting, an important experience to have, morally acceptable to you? Would you be hooking up with this person even if you're never going to see them afterwards?
Now, what she's talking about, and she's technically right. She's technically right in what she's saying right there, that each individual does have to draw the line in their own little moral sandbox of what they find appropriate. And if you got any libertarian, or even any, I guess, liberal in you at all, that's a dirty word over here, but if any of that is in you at all, and I shouldn't even say that, because everybody understands the concept of life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, and freedom, and personal choice, and so it is on the individual to draw their line in the sand of what they find appropriate and what they don't find appropriate. That much is true. And do whatever you would do basically do what you're comfortable doing, and don't do what you're not comfortable doing, and not letting society dictate what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, when you're going to do it, and who you're going to do it with. There's truth in that. But we didn't build advanced civilized societies, structures with all these social constructs and everything to essentially let the inmates run the asylum and choose stuff for themselves. Like, that's what the I don't know what to call them, the they or the global elites, or whoever the hell may say. We didn't build all this shit for you to let the inmates just run the asylum and do whatever y'all want to do. No, we need structures, we need religion, we need so much stuff to basically to put the mental chastity belt on y'all. I mean, and that's how it is. That's ultimately how it is. So it's one thing to say, hey, I'm not going to be controlled. Nobody's going to make me do anything. I'm going to do what I want to do when I want to do it. All right. We got a country of 450 million people all saying that and all doing it to the whims of their own selfish, animalistic, hedonic desires. And then now, okay, what kind of civilization do we have? And that's where the moral police, that's where the moral police could try to win an argument on a macro scale, but they're not going to make an individual who's just trying to smash somebody that night stop from doing it, you know, but they could win the macro argument. But the individual is still going to go out there and do what they do. And then we get into all kinds of moral philosophy, and then there's the moral police and dictating morals, and then people start to legislate certain morals and this or that. It says freedom or free doom. Here come the zealots. I gotta start ignoring your post, Omega Dreads. I just gotta start ignoring what you say. Because it start off looking like you're about to say something real profound, and sometimes it'd be something profound in the midst of the chaos, but then no. Shout out to Omega Dreads.
If the answer to most of these is no, you shouldn't really be doing it. Now, there's a bit of an elephant in the room when we talk about pleasure in heterosexual casual sex. The orgasm gap between men and women. In a study of over 20,000 undergrads, 80% of men had an orgasm during their most recent hookup. This was true of only 40% of women.
And hold on. Right when she said that, I was.
What the fuck that got to do with me?
It's like it is what it is. Your biology is your biology. It's hard for women to orgasm. All right, it is what it is. They want to. You can't close the wage gap and the orgasm gap. Pick a struggle. You can't get them both closed. You ain't getting them both closed. God damn it! Pick a struggle. But it says men, and I'm actually shocked. But honestly, to me, in like one night stand hookups or just a casual sex first time encounter with somebody, don't gotta be a one night stand, but just in a hookup with somebody, for men to be at 22% reported right here, y'all can see that right there, no orgasm. To me, that's an astronomical number. I thought we was at least batting 95% on that bad boy. Like 78% only 78% of men had an orgasm. And honestly, in my opinion, on a first time hookup, that 42% for a woman, that's actually high. That's much higher than what I expected. Because women, even with men that they enjoy having sex with, they don't orgasm. They don't orgasm every time. They still greatly enjoy the sex, but it's some women who, it's psychological with them. It's mental, it's emotional, it's all kind of shit. So for some women, 1 out of every 10 times that they have a orgasm through penetration, that's high. That's high for some women. Like it's only, and this goes back to that getting experience with women, that previous conversation. To have sex with at least 50 women. Okay, if you have sex with over 50 women, you're going to encounter some that can, damn 7 out of 10 times they can have a orgasm through penetration. But they practically bat 1,000 when it comes to oral sex. But through penetration, most women not having it like that. So that 42% is high. That 42% is high. That ain't nothing to complain about. Biology is biology, bitch. It's like it is what it is. Yeah, biology is yeah biology. Yeah, makeup is yeah makeup. It just is what it is. Nothing you can do about that. But 58% had no orgasm in a hookup. 42% had an orgasm in a hookup. that ain't nothing to complain about. I'm more disappointed about the 22 men who didn't get an orgasm. Like how bad was the pussy that you didn't bust a nut? You bust a nut 100% of the time when you jack off, but you only batting 78% on a hookup. Like who's you hooking up with? That's what I want. I'm far more concerned about that. All right. I'm far more concerned about that.
Now, there's an orgasm gap in romantic encounters too, but it's twice as large in hookups. This doesn't mean that women aren't enjoying it necessarily. In this same study, 90% of the women said they enjoyed their hookup very much, or at least somewhat. Most of them enjoyed it very much, about 70+%.
Yeah, man. They had Big Shirley in there. They couldn't even get it all the way up. Gave her like wet noodle, and then went and cried in the shower afterwards. That's what that 22% is. That's what that 22% is. So hopeful says enjoyed it even though she didn't bust. Yes. I mean, put it like this: if they got more of a problem is if you finish right when it started getting good. But it's a such thing as it getting good to them and it go on, past that point of being good to the point to where they've almost exhausted themselves and they just ready to stop. Like they hey, all right, need a break. Like that's more of a thing. That's more of a thing. All right, hold on. I'm trying to get back to it.
But we can.
Give me a second. I'm sorry. I had a distraction. I was looking at something in the back. All right. Had a few things throw me off. All right, let's get back to it.
We can all do better. I mean, this gap needs closing. Women need to learn to be more selfish, demand their sexual pleasure. And men need to learn to be more giving, try harder to please their partners, even in the briefest of one-night stands.
She's pleaded for men. Yes, we out here hoeing, we thotting it up, but we need y'all to make love to us on these one-night stands. That's what she's requesting more foreplay and love making on random hookups. That's where they at. We proud hoes, but could you make love to us? Like, could you do it like you love us? That's what she's requesting. We not about to get with a man and have a real relationship and fall in love. Fall in love and have some deep emotional connection and spiritual emotional connection. All that stuff we talk about on Oprah's couch. No. We not trying to do all of that. We just trying to thot it up. But we need you to we need you to just put some love and passion into it. That's all. That's what they asking for. Make love to us on that one night stand. That's where they at. That's where they at. She sounds like an online YouTube pro-black. LOL. Explain that one. That's funny, but explain that. I'm a little slow. Explain that one for me. But shout out to you. Appreciate you putting 5 on it. Appreciate you putting 5 on it. You let me beat you to it, RM. Wow. All right. Sir Tice in the building. Shout out to you. Do appreciate the super chat. Do appreciate the super chat.
Well, sex doesn't have to be devoid of all the intimacy and passion. It's not like you're doing your laundry or picking up your mail. Try to give and get as much sexual pleasure out of every hookup. That's the whole point.
We do. Other than that shocking 22% of men that don't get. Actually, I'm not even about to get into my. I understand that it happens. I thought it would be higher. Only 78% of men have orgasms and hookups. Thought it would be higher, but I do understand how that could be where it's at.
Now, one major factor that keeps people from engaging in casual sex to begin with is the social stigma attached to it. This dreaded reputation is unfortunately much more constrained.
Slut shaming is real. That's what you got on the screen. Now, this is what this is. I mean, this is about a lot of things. There's a lot of layers to this, but this is what it's really about. This is what they really want. They're fighting to get rid of the social stigma. That's what they're really fighting for here. They're fighting to get rid of the social stigma.
Of women's behavior than it is of men's. But here's an interesting thing. Dreaded reputation is unfortunately much more constraining of women's behavior than it is of men's. But here's an interesting thing.
Yes, there's double standards. Yes, so woman out thotting it up. Yep, she's going to get looked at worse than a guy who's thotting it up. Yep. A woman in their 30s with no job who's being taken care of by a man. No problem. That's wonderful. That's a beautiful thing, right? Man in his 30s, no job, getting taken care of by a woman. He's a lazy bum, a failure, a dusty naker, every name in the book. Making name every name in the book, right? Right? So yeah, it's double standards, and yeah, deal with that one. I would not support any. I would never support a movement that's saying we need to remove the shame that men have when they broke with no job. I would never support that movement. There should be some shame. There's some understanding in some situations. People go in and out of jobs. Things happen. Sometimes you got to go on unemployment. Sometimes your life fall apart. You got to pick the pieces back up. And but it should never be a situation where let's normalize homosexualism. Like, no, we're not going to do that.
People do indeed say they don't want to be friends or spouses with promiscuous others. But more promiscuous college students of both sexes actually report having more friends and feeling less lonely than their less promiscuous peers. So if casual sex is going to be a part of your life,
I think it's truth in that. Like, if a lack of casual sex in college, that could lead to, that's a lonely, less fun, less spontaneous college life. You're at home on Friday nights studying versus out partying, drinking with your friends and hooking up with somebody. So, I mean, that's that one is a no-brainer.
Yes, there will be people who will judge you, but you can surround yourself with people who won't. Now, an unfortunate reality of hookups, especially college hookups, is how often they're driven by alcohol. When researchers asked freshman women to track all their sexual encounters over one academic year, this is what they found. The less known the partner was, the more likely alcohol was involved. You can't see it, unfortunately, at the end over there, but when it was a stranger, 90% of all hookups involved drinking. 63% involved heavy drinking, 4 or more drinks. Now, you may look at this and be like, yeah, so what? But it's not so what. This is really unfortunate because judgment impaired due to alcohol or drugs is the #1 reason for unwanted impaired due to alcohol or drugs is the #1 reason for unwanted hookups. Hookups you regret the next day.
Whoa, yeah. Regret that was some slippery Me Too language. I haven't seen this part. I stopped it sort of just before this when I was pre-watching it. That was some slippery Me Too language. It's the difference between unwanted hookups and regret the next day. That was some slippery Me Too talk right there. But let's look at the chart. Let's look at the chart. All right, let me make that chart bigger. Hold on. Let's make it bigger. I think, no, we're going to go all the way like this because I want y'all to see this as much as possible. All right. Sex events involving alcohol. If it was a complete stranger, it was an 89% chance that there was alcohol. If it was just an acquaintance, 76% chance. A friend, 52% chance. Ex-boyfriend, 32% chance. A new romantic partner, 15% chance. Established romantic partner, 5% chance that there was alcohol. So like to me, these numbers are kind of a nothing burger. Whoever made that term up, that's stupid, but I'm using it. To me, that these numbers are a nothing burger is basically just saying like when people go out and drinking and they party and they hook up with somebody, yeah, chances are yes they had a drink. Chances are if you're hooking up with an acquaintance, this is somebody who you're not romantically involved with. It's somebody who you wouldn't even consider a friend. So chances are women, you know, the stereotype is these men get these women drunk so they could take advantage on them. Yeah, I'm blaming it on I'm not gonna sing it, but we get it. But these men get these women drunk and they take advantage of them. But truth be told, women, when they want to do something, they do have a certain amount of drinks to ease their self up, to make them to lower their inhibitions, to give themselves the not the plausible deniability, but I guess that's the right word. You know, they want to blame it on the alcohol. They want to blame it on the alcohol. If it's a friend, you know, they you know, so I mean, I don't like the idea. I mean, it depends on what you're pushing. Like this data just by itself is not a problem or not that unexpected. It is a huge difference between an established romantic partner versus the 89% with a stranger, 5% with an established person that you've had sex with before. You 5% of the chance that 5% chance you're gonna have alcohol, 89% with a stranger. Like that's a huge gap from the far end to the other end. But none of this is not that expected. None of this is not that expected. I mean, not that unexpected, I should say. Like I could definitely see all of this. I could definitely see all of this playing out exactly like how it looks. Like this is, you know, interesting.
Because judgment impaired due to alcohol or drugs is the #1 reason for unwanted hookups. Hookups you regret the next day. Now,
regret the next day and unwanted hookups, two different things. That's Me Too talk.
a couple of drinks to set the mood or for liquid courage is one thing.
There it is. That's what I was trying to say.
But getting smashed, that makes you do things you didn't want to do with people you didn't want to do them with. It diminishes your physiological ability to enjoy sex or perform sexually. It inhibits your psychological ability to set boundaries and express desires. It weakens your determination to use condoms. It makes you more sexually aggressive or more vulnerable to sexual aggression. And it also just blurs your memories. And I mean, don't you want to remember it? Right? If you need to be drunk to be hooking up, you should not be hooking up at all. Now, sexual desire and romantic love are two distinct psychological and physiological systems that evolved for two different evolutionary purposes: making babies versus staying together long enough for those babies to survive. But the two systems are not independent. Sex can set in motion a cascade of neurochemical processes in the brain that lead to love. Neurotransmitters released during sex, oxytocin, vasopressin, dopamine, they make you bond to your partner, even if you didn't want that to happen. And the more you have sex with that person, the stronger that bond grows. Then, when those bonds get broken, as they often do in casual relationships, it hurts. Now, some people are luckier. Their brains are wired in a way that they don't get attached very easily. But you can also fight this environment.
That is a undermade point. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier, that different people are different and different people are affected differently when it comes to this stuff. There are people who do get attached more than others. There are some women who could change sex partners like changing shoes and not think or feel nothing of it. It is some that get instantly attached and be, be crazy, emphasis on crazy in love, after having sex with somebody 2 times. With men, it's a similar thing. With men, it could be a similar thing. But we're more on the side of not being attached. But yeah, we can get attached. That can happen. It affects different people differently. So they say so whenever somebody say you shouldn't have casual sex because you can get attached with somebody and blah, 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 blah. They're like, no, it depends on that individual. So if you're somebody who gets attached real easy off of casual sex, then the onus is on you to not go out and have that casual sex if you know you can't deal with it. Now, that's something that men can say. We can beat our chest and say that because we know we can deal with it. And we know y'all can't, but we gonna try. And if you don't want the repercussions of how you gonna feel after we have this casual sex, then it's on you to say no. That's pretty much the deal. That's pretty much the deal that men operate on.
Voluntary infatuation with reason. Not every person who gives you great orgasms and treats you well afterwards would make a great long-term partner. Go down your relationship.
Shout out to Edward Anderson, Bernard Riley. This is like shows like Fresh and Fit and the whatever. I still haven't really sat there and watched the whatever show. Is important because this shit in a vacuum will be taken as fact just because of presentation with a white woman. That is true. That is true. But see, here's the thing. This is what I've said before. When somebody said, "Oh, these red pill arguments are floating because they're being put against," this was somebody said this a year. I ain't about to get into who said it. They're being put against dumb dincy women. And my argument was, so if some so are you saying some intelligent feminist PhD chicks can refute manosphere, refute the points that manosphere is saying? And that was a question that I asked. When you listen to TED Talks, you do hear some of those women, and you do hear them not making sense and or saying the same things that women on Fresh and Fit will say, but they say it with a they intellectualize the thought culture. That's essentially what they do. That's essentially what they do. Oh shit! I didn't know it was even other super chats. I missed these. Hold up. He says, "You got yours, got to get mine." Oh yeah, MC Breed, Tupac, 1993. Absolutely, absolutely. Says sounds like an online YouTube pro black. LOL. I read that one earlier. I still don't know exactly what you meant by that one. But 16 voice in the building says super sticker. I mean, he got me. It just says super sticker. You didn't say super.
What do we get for $10? Everything you want.
That was fucking funny. I just read what it said right there. It shows up different on my end in StreamYard. Now I got to go see how it shows up to y'all so I can see how stupid that sounds. Give me 1 second. I got to pull it up on YouTube.
Hold up.
Okay. All right. It do look the same way. Did you type out super sticker or do it just actually say that? I don't know. But anyway, Charles Merchant in the building says becoming a thought is a part of the bachelor degree. She learns how to have indiscriminate sex along with alcohol addiction. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat.
What do we get for $10? Everything you want.
Relationship checklist and find all those red flags of incompatibility. Then resist the urge to text them 20 times a day. Or start naming your kids and planning your life together as soon as they leave your house. Keep yourself busy. Have a rotation of partners, perhaps.
Oh, damn.
Works really well. Finally,
she's just teaching a class on the it says have a rotation of partners.
go down your relationship checklist and find all those red flags of incompatibility. Then resist the urge to text them 20 times a day. Or start naming your kids and planning your life together as soon as they leave your house. Keep yourself busy. Have a rotation of partners, perhaps.
Okay, so she said to avoid getting too attached to that person who's hitting it real good, get a rotation of other people who's also hitting it, so you won't just stay attached and wrapped up in that one person who hit it real good. She's basically saying go fuck a bunch of people that you probably shouldn't be fucking to avoid fucking this person who you shouldn't be fucking. That's basically what she's saying. In order to avoid fucking this person who you shouldn't be fucking, who you really shouldn't be fucking, go fuck a bunch of other people you shouldn't be fucking. Like that was the advice.
Works really well.
That's why I say they're no different. Like that's why I say they're no different than the chick. You go to college, they get a PhD, they could be giving a TED talk. They're not that much different than the chicks that you see on Fresh and Fit.
Finally, casual sex is not just for single people. Remember that novelty and adventure thing I talked about in the beginning? Well, many people in long-term relationships also crave novelty, sometimes much more so than single people. Some try to suppress those needs and hope they go away. Others cheat and hope their partners don't find out. But an increasing number of people, about 4 to 5% at our current best estimate, are starting to incorporate casual sex into their long-term, loving, committed relationships in an open and honest way, in a consensually non-monogamous way. If this is something that might...
This is the part where they try to convince men to let your wife or girlfriend get smashed by somebody else and be okay with it and kiss her goodnight all the same.
Interest you, there is a growing movement of ethical or responsible non-monogamy out there that you might want to explore, starting with this awesome book called The Ethical Slut.
I haven't seen this part. I would have researched this book if I made it through most of this, and I was like, all right, I'm covering it. But I hadn't made it to this part. I would have researched this book, The Ethical Slut. Didn't either it was either Amber Rose or Brittany Renner. Somebody said that. Somebody used that term or a similar term.
All said and
Okay, it says The Ethical Slut, a practical guide to polyamory, open relationships, and other adventures. Yeah. If she's trying to convince you of anything poly that's open both ways, it just that's called her being an ethical slut. It's okay because her man gave his blessing.
done. There's nothing inherently wrong or inherently unhealthy about wanting casual sex or having it often. Now, casual sex can be a source of mental and physical suffering, but it can also be an amazing experience that enriches your life and brings great happiness. Now, unlike with romantic encounters, with hookups, you are taking a risk. And sometimes you get rewarded, and sometimes you don't. There's no way you can control all the factors, but there is a lot you can do to maximize your chances of getting rewarded. Take responsibility for your experience. Communicate clearly your likes, dislikes, limitations, expectations. Give an enthusiastic yes to the things you want and a firm no to the things you don't want. This kind of sexual assertiveness is important no matter the partner type, but it's absolutely paramount with casual partners because they're definitely not psychic.
Now, this is a part of it that's kind of goofy, and it sort of betrays something that she said before. It's about you finding, she said it's about you finding comfort in where you're at and what you want to do and how you want to do it. But now the advice she's giving now is she's trying to encourage those who don't find comfort in it, how to find comfort in it. So that's going beyond saying this is something that we're doing that we want to do. We want to not be judged by it, blah, 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 blah. But no, it's trying to embolden others to do it who may not want to do it. Well, you could do it if you do it like this. Yes, you're more comfortable being in a monogamous relationship with one man, but if you tried this, if you did it this way, then it'll be more comfortable for you. It's like, so that's where it just gets to just another realm of nonsense. But put the link, only 52 seconds left of this, put the link in the chat, see if we get a conversation going on this one. Put the
They
link in the
probably
chat.
don't know you well or at all. And sometimes they don't care much about your safety or pleasure. So you need to help your partners treat you the way you want to be treated. And whatever you do, please use condoms and do not get wasted. Of course, mistakes happen, learn from them, and move on. Remember the old saying, practice makes perfect. Studies actually show that the older you get and the more you do it, the better skilled you become at navigating all these challenges of casual sex. So,
Can't make it up. Can't make it up. It's like she's doing a whole training manual. This is a TED Talk. This is a TED Talk.
it gets better, and not just for the gay kids. Thank you.
That was a TED Talk, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on, let me get that down and off the screen. What the hell?
Hold up.
Yeah, all right. Link is in the chat room. Anybody want to come up and have a piece of this conversation? Says too much playtime. Next time, gotta superimpose an image over the screen. I have no idea what you're talking about. You said, damn, they got B. What you talking about? What, did I get struck? Face red, droopy eye. Oh, damn. Damn, they got B. So what now? Am I on the air? They sniped him. I'm hearing that I've gotten sniped. I'm trying to find my cell phone so I can confirm what the hell is going on. Now I'm back. Oh, I'm back. So they say. All right. I'm back. Push one in the chat if I'm back, and everybody gonna push one. I don't know if that's gonna help anything. I don't know if that's gonna help anything. I could wrap this up and make this a damn near a short one. I can make this a short one, and then take it off here and send it to Patreon because it's gonna get sniped by TED Talk anyway. Whenever I review a TED Talk, that shit get hit. That shit get hit. It get hit every single time. Get hit every single time. But I just wanted to do a stream. Talking about something that I stumbled across when I was doing the stream. When I was the stream I did yesterday, when he's talking about the man sexual experience. So I was typing in stuff like the multiple sex partners and all of that. And what ended up happening is ultimately, excuse me. What ultimately ended up happening is you type in stuff like that, then you get sent all kinds of stuff. So I was like, okay, so it's a TED Talk on casual sex or the benefits of multiple sex partners, and lo and behold, it was a woman, likely a feminist, basically intellectualizing horror culture. So I listened to it; it was interesting, and I presented it and gave it to you good folks. And yeah, one of my biggest takeaways, and Ed pointed this out. There was a number of big takeaways in it. Ed pointed this out, that they're not that much different from the chicks that you see on Fresh and Fit. The chicks who intellectualize these things. It's like, I don't say they all the same, but that type of ideology, that type of thought process, it comes from all places, all walks of life. You can find them in any place, any area, any setting, and they're going to have a similar ideology. But shout out to all of the Patreons. I'll be forgetting to scroll the Patreon banner. I do appreciate each and every one of y'all. New Patreon content will be getting posted. The show I did yesterday will be on Patreon, and it will be on members. Good chance this one will be on Patreon or members, just due to the subject matter. And I already got lightweight sniped. I was just about to tell you don't put that up because they're not doing a Friday show tonight, not doing a night show tonight. I was just about to tell you don't put that up because I'm not doing a show tonight. Got a lot of things going on, that got to get tended to. So I will be tending to that. But thank you to each and every one of you. Thank you to all the Patreons, Maurice and Riven Base, she sees sounds. I think that was a solo traveler. Scott Haywood, Ron 87, Excalibur. Shout out to everybody in the building. Cortez B, Vincent Lindsay, Jay Morgan. Ain't got to be quicker than that. Shout out to Jay Thomas, Darth Low IQ, Jay Chowders. Shout out to, we'll be back tomorrow, Saturday, with Hood Conservatives, Kofi Jackson, Big John. The link was already dropped. Somebody else could have came up. Somebody could have came up and we'd have went longer. But Ron John, LJ, Angela B, Marvin T. Shout out to all of you, all of the Patrons, Uneducated Lame, E. Taylor 704, Jonathan Barronville. Shout out to Jonathan Barronville. JB, Steph is cold. Still a Patreon. Purdue, Jerry F. Toro. He making so much money. He don't even know his $5. He don't even know his $5 is he don't even know his $5 still coming in my account. Cedric M, Roddy God, Sir Tice, Tyrone H, Kenneth J, Independent Black Man, J Live. Shout out, and salute. Kevin C, Brenda, RM, Paul G. Prizer Prisoner, Car Designer Chris, Perfect Black. Shout out. Maurice November, She Sound, and the Solo Traveler, ORD in the building. All right, we about to wrap this thing on up. Appreciate each and every one of you. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here. Peace. We